Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you weren't good enough? Like your past mistakes disqualified you from love, respect, or even God's grace? If you've ever felt ashamed, judged, or like you just don't belong, then the story we're about to explore might change the way you see yourself forever. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful stories in the Bible, found in John chapter 4, the woman at the well. But this isn't just a story about water. It's about healing shame, finding identity, and understanding what grace and acceptance truly mean. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll discover how this ancient story holds a life-changing message that's still incredibly relevant today. So let's jump in. Jesus is traveling from Judea to Galilee, and he decides to take a route through Samaria. Now, that might sound just like geography, but here's where it gets interesting. Jews and Samaritans didn't get along. At all. Think of it like a long-standing rivalry. Cultural, religious, and deeply personal. Jews saw Samaritans as impure, and the feeling was mutual. So for Jesus, a Jewish rabbi, to even go through Samaria was already a big deal. But what happens next is even more surprising. It's noon, the hottest time of the day, and Jesus stops by a well in a Samaritan village called Sychar. He's tired. His disciples go into town to buy food, and there he is, sitting alone. Then she shows up. A woman, a Samaritan woman, comes to the well to draw water. But there's something strange about that too. You see, most women came to the well early in the morning or late in the evening when it was cooler and when they could chat and socialize. So why is she here alone in the heat of the day? Because she didn't want to be seen. She was avoiding people, probably because she knew what they thought of her. Her reputation wasn't great, and she carried the weight of shame wherever she went. And then Jesus speaks. Will you give me a drink? Now hold on a second. In that culture, men didn't speak to women in public, let alone a Jewish man speaking to a Samaritan woman. That was completely against the social rules of the time. And her response shows just how shocked she was. You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? But Jesus doesn't care about rules or appearances and replies, if you knew who I was, you'd ask me, and I would give you living water. Now she's confused. She's thinking, wait, living water? You don't even have a bucket. But of course, Jesus is talking about something much deeper. He's offering her something beyond physical water, something that would quench a spiritual thirst, a longing we all have for purpose, peace, and connection with God. And then Jesus says something profound. Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give will never thirst. Think about that. How many of us are trying to quench our inner thirst with things that never really satisfy? Success, approval, relationships, even distractions like social media or binge watching shows. We keep going back to the same wells, hoping they'll fill us up, but they never do. That's what Jesus was getting at. He wasn't just offering comfort, he was offering transformation. And then he goes even deeper. He tells her, go call your husband. She replies, I have no husband. And Jesus gently says, you're right, you have 5 husbands, and the man you're with now isn't your husband. Now pause for a moment. Jesus just exposed her biggest wound, her past, her shame, the very thing she was hiding from. But notice this, he doesn't shame her, he doesn't condemn her, he simply names the truth and still offers her grace. That's the beauty of this moment. Jesus meets her exactly where she is, with her pain, her mistakes, her brokenness, and offers her love anyway. This story isn't just about water or sin, it's about breaking barriers. Jesus broke the gender barrier by speaking to a woman in public. He broke the racial and cultural barrier by engaging with a Samaritan. He broke the moral barrier by speaking with someone most people judged and rejected. And what does he do instead? He dignifies her. He sees her, not for what she's done, but for who she is. And here's something powerful. This woman becomes the first person in the Gospel of John to whom Jesus openly reveals himself as the Messiah. Not a religious leader, not a priest, not a king. A Samaritan woman with a messy past. Why? Because Jesus wanted the world to see his grace isn't reserved for the perfect. It's for the hurting, the overlooked, and the broken. This wasn't just a personal moment, it was a statement. A declaration that God's love isn't limited by our background or mistakes. And here's the beautiful part. The woman is so impacted, she drops her water jar and runs back to town saying, "Come see a man who told me everything I ever did and still accepted me." And guess what? The entire town comes out to meet Jesus. Her story, her encounter, becomes a testimony that brings others to faith. This story is more than just a nice Bible story. It's a mirror. It reflects the deeper parts of our own lives, the parts we often keep hidden. So let's take some time to unpack the deeper lessons we can actually apply to our lives today. Number one, you are not your past. You are more than your mistakes. How often do we define ourselves by what we've done or by what's been done to us? Maybe you've made choices you regret. Maybe you've been through a broken relationship, addiction, failure, or just years of feeling like you don't measure up. That's exactly how the Samaritan woman must have felt. Her identity had been shaped by her failed relationships, by society's rejection, and probably by her own inner voice telling her she wasn't good enough. But Jesus didn't see her as damaged goods. He saw her as worthy of love and purpose. This is the message. You are not the sum of your failures. You're not your divorce, your addiction, your reputation, your past. You are seen by God, and you are still invited into a new life. And here's the powerful truth. Jesus didn't wait for her to clean up her life first. He met her right in the middle of her mess. So maybe the thing you think disqualifies you is actually the very place where grace can begin. Number two, healing begins when we stop hiding. The woman came to the well at noon, alone, isolated, avoiding people, because she was carrying shame. We do the same thing, don't we? We hide our pain, we bury our brokenness, we put on a smile when we're dying inside. But here's the thing, you can't heal what you won't face. Jesus didn't shame the woman, but he did invite her to face the truth. He named her pain, not to condemn her, but to set her free. And that's often where healing starts. In that vulnerable moment when we stop pretending we're fine and allow God into the real, raw places of our heart. If there's something you've been carrying silently, a wound, a secret, a burden, maybe it's time to stop hiding and let God meet you where you are. Because the parts of you you're most afraid to show are often the parts He most wants to redeem. Number three, your story is more powerful than you think. What's incredible is that this woman didn't go back to town with a sermon. She didn't have a theology degree. She didn't have her life all together. She simply said, "Come see a man who changed my life." And that simple story, that honest testimony, moved people. Sometimes we underestimate our story. We think, who would care? Or it's not dramatic enough. But here's the truth. Someone needs to hear what you've been through and how you've come through it. Your story could be the spark that helps someone else find hope. So don't hide your story, share it, because you never know who might be waiting to hear it. Number four, we all have a spiritual thirst, and only God can fill it. Let's not forget the heart of this story, living water. Jesus wasn't just offering her a nice metaphor, he was talking about the deep, soul-level thirst that we all have. The thirst for meaning, identity, purpose, peace, and love. And the truth is, we've all tried to quench that thirst with other things. Some of us try to find fulfillment in relationships, others in achievement, money, status, or entertainment. But none of those things satisfy for long. That's why Jesus said anyone who drinks this water will thirst again. Only a connection with God, a relationship built on grace, can truly satisfy our souls. So if you're feeling empty, restless, or disconnected, maybe it's not because you need more success or more attention. Maybe you just need to come back to the well, the living water that never runs dry. This story isn't just about a woman at a well 2,000 years ago. It's about you and me, right now. It's about a God who meets us in our brokenness, offers us grace, and invites us into a new story. So the next time you feel ashamed of your past or like you don't belong, remember this woman, and remember the one who sat beside her, not to judge her, but to restore her. So here's the question. What well have you been going to, hoping to feel whole? Maybe today is the day to let go of that empty jar and receive the living water Jesus offers. Grace, acceptance, a new beginning. If this story spoke to you, let us know in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that like, subscribe, and share with someone else who needs to hear this message. Remember, you are seen, you are loved, and you are never beyond grace. Thanks for watching Bible Unveiled. See you next time.